In today's video, we're going to explore Burp Suite Pro's Custom Actions, a powerful feature that lets you run custom Java code on requests or responses within a repeater tab. Custom actions are part of the powerful Bambda functionality that is slowly being integrated across Burp Suite, and they have access to the entire Montoya API just like extensions do. The upshot of this is there isn't really much custom actions can't do. They can be used to analyze responses after a request is sent, maybe decoding certain messages and outputting the result. They can fetch data prior to sending requests, then use that data to make updates to the request before it is sent out. They can even use the new Burp AI features. Custom actions allow you to really customize your workflow and make Repeater more powerful than ever to use for security testing. Don't take my word for it though. Let's dive into a demo of how to use custom actions and also showcase some so you have a better idea of what they can do. Okay, so we're in Burp Suite Pro version 2025.8.4 and we're in the Repeater tab, which is where these custom actions live. If you have a brand new Repeater tab, then you just come over to the right over here. You've got the inspector, notes, and then you've got this brand new section, custom actions. And the first time you load this, you might get a message like, hey, do you want to load some examples? And you can do that, or you can click new. But these are a few that I have loaded in. If you do want to create a new script, obviously you just go click new, and you can either choose blank, which will obviously generate it's not really blank, but it's got a logging output right there. Other than that, that's pretty much it. It's completely empty. If you choose from template, however, it will spawn this window. And just a word of warning, not all of these Bambdas are valid custom actions, right? So you can actually see that. So this is the Bambda script template view. And you can save all these templates. So these are view filters for HTTP history. These are custom columns. Okay, these are match and replace Bambdas. And if you scroll all the way down, we get here custom actions. So as long as it says custom action here, these are the ones that are designed for Repeater's custom action Bambdas. Okay, you can sometimes use these ones, or you can at least modify them, but probably best to stick to these if you're trying from scratch or trying to use a template. And so we have calculate response metadata, perform web API lookup. And if you click on any of these, you can basically load the code and have a quick look. Retry requests without cookies, Unicode decode, trigger raise condition, custom explanations. This uses Burp AI, I believe. But yeah, so if you don't want to start from scratch and you want to sort of have a base Bambda to edit, this is probably the best place to go. There is another place, however, and that's if you go to extensions and then search for Extensibility helper. Here it is. So this is an official Portswigger extension. So if you install that, as you can see, I have already installed it. It's running right here. This is basically, it connects to the, I believe, Portswigger's GitHub repo, and it allows you to sort of pull in B-checks and Bambdas that Portswigger have sort of, I believe they've at least read them over and made sure they're not dangerous. So yeah, these are sort of pre-written and they're written by members of the community and people at Portswigger. But if you go to this Bambda store tab here and then just search custom action, you should see it'll appear as a tag here, okay? And these are all the custom actions that are currently in the GitHub repo. So you've got a few here as well, right? So like cookie injection, hacking assistant, screenshot, all of these. And you can just literally click one and then click import, and then it will be imported into your Bambda library, which is what happens when you click load. These are all from your Bambda library. And if you click view all, your Bambda library will appear. So I already have a few loaded, and I've got a few written here as well. But that's how you access custom actions. So let's start off with a simple one. Okay, let's say that you have some Unicode encoded text, right? So you often see this inside JSON objects. Right here now, it's in the request. It could be in the response. But there is this Unicode decode selected text. I've modified it a bit. Generally speaking, this one only works on the response. I have modified it just because I wanted it to work in the request. But if I highlight all of this and click it, so I click this to play, basically this runs the script, you get Tiberius with an exclamation point. And if I was to just select this and run it again, you get tib3. All right. And so the output doesn't disappear unless you click clear. And not all of the scripts will actually output down here. Okay. This is just for logging. It's just, just in case you actually want something logged. So yeah, that's a really simple one, right? Just selecting text, clicking it. And, yes, if you select this, you might be able to go to inspector and get some decoding done here. It doesn't actually look like it, but sometimes you'll be able to use inspector to decode, right? This is for like really complex decoding. So if you know that there's some kind of weird encoded text, but you happen to know what the decoding process looks like, you potentially write a custom action to do that for you. Okay, let's go slightly more complicated. Now, I have this web application that basically I just vibe coded, right? But there's two separate users. We've got an admin user and a regular user. We're logged into two separate browser sessions, red and blue. By the way, this is using PwnFox for Chromium, which is really nice. Using these different colored buttons, you can basically spawn completely separate instances of Chrome. And not only that, they'll be colored. So this is the red version of Chrome, so I clicked here for red, and this is the blue version. And they automatically proxy via Burp Suite. Any requests from the blue version of Chrome will get colored blue in the proxy, and any requests sent via the red version of Chrome will get colored red. We can have a look at what that looks like. Okay, so it's kind of like a nice way of authenticating to two separate users at the same time, two different versions of Chrome, but being able to tell which requests are which from within the proxy. Super useful. So let's use one of these. I believe this is in the library, right? If I go to from template, I believe there's a retry request without cookies. So I've got this retry request without cookies. This is currently authenticated using the admin session token. You can tell that because we've got this PwnFox color red, and I am logged in as admin in the red version. So if I click send here, you can see we get to the admin panel. This is just get admin. I can load users. Maybe I should render that. We can find security settings. We can find logs. If I then go through and I click retry request without cookies, we get a 302. 302 is a redirect, and obviously we're expecting a 200 OK. It's redirecting because obviously if you're unauthenticated, you shouldn't be able to access the admin panel. All right, let's try with this one. We get a 302. This one, 302. This one, we get a 200 though. So we went to admin/logs, we got a 200 when we retried the request without cookies. And you'll note it doesn't actually send the request in repeater, okay? So it's not actually sending the request here, it's sending it separately. We can probably actually see that. So this is a very simple Bambda here that basically just resends the request in the background without the authorization header and without the cookie header. And then it reports the status code. But we did get a 200, which is interesting, right? So if we send this to another repeater tab, let's take out the cookie, let's click send, and now we see, okay, actually, there are no cookies. We click send, and we did get a 200, and we do actually see the logs. So this is a nice, neat way of very quickly detecting whether the request is properly authenticated, right? Whether we can find authorization issues. Like in this case, you could literally get to /admin/logs without logging in, all right? So again, you can just do this with a Bambda, with a custom action Bambda. But we can go further than that because I have these two separate sessions, right? I have this admin session, which is logged in as admin, and I have this user session, which is logged in as user. And you can already see on the user, I can't get to the admin dashboard, right? There's no link up here, but I can over here on the admin one. And there are also, if I click on the admin panel, you get user management, security settings, audit logs, etc. None of those exist over here. Now, obviously, one of the things you would do when security testing is you would automatically try all these links in this window. And there are various extensions for doing that as well. But this Bambda, which I did not write, it's actually modified from this user on XRSDL. Basically, this is taken from a gist, a GitHub gist. And what it'll do is it will grab the latest cookie from the blue session, right? So from a latest blue request in the proxy history, i.e. this one. So it's going to grab the cookie from this request, and then it's going to replace that cookie in the repeater request, rerun it, and it's going to show you what the result is in the repeater response window. So effectively, what that means is I go to this one, get admin. If I click run with blue cookies, what it's going to do, this Bambda, it's going to go to the proxy history. It's going to find the latest blue request, extract the cookie, replace it here, run this request, and put the response down here. Okay, so if I click this, we actually see welcome user. Okay, let me run that again regularly. So remember, this cookie doesn't actually change. So this cookie stays the same in our request window. So it's the admin cookie. It says welcome admin. If I run with blue cookies, it's going to say welcome user. And so this means the user can actually access the admin panel. And we can confirm that, right? We can just go to /admin. And there we go. So that did indeed work. So that is another authorization issue. And we can do this all the way along, right? So in this instance, user management, if we click send, it's going to send it as the admin. We run with blue cookies. Okay, we got a redirect. That's good. That's expected. Let's try security, run with blue cookies. We get a redirect. And obviously we know that cookies aren't being checked for admin logs, right? Because we know already that this could be accessed unauthenticated. If we click run with blue cookies again, we get the result. So this is just a really simple way, and you can just honestly modify this. So if you aren't using blue, if you're using the green one, for example, or red, you can change it here. There are a few different options, right? So I've modified this a little bit, but I think this is a really good idea. I saw he was going to do a video on it on Twitter. He wanted like 200 likes to do a video, didn't get it. So honestly, this is too good not to share. So I'm sharing it now. I'm definitely going to link to his tweet, and respect to him for coming up with this idea. This is awesome. So effectively just grabs the latest cookie from the proxy. And obviously this is important because cookies might change, right? If you have this window open constantly refreshing, maybe updating the cookie, then you know that because it's always going to grab the latest cookie from the latest blue request, that cookie is going to be valid, right? And so you'll always have, you don't have to track the cookies yourself or use an extension. This is just purely in Bambda code, which is really, really nice. And while we're here, let's show this new one that I discovered literally a few minutes before I hit record, which I think is worth sharing. It's called Screenshot, and it does what you think. But this could be really useful in environments where you don't have a handy screenshotting tool. Okay, this is literally a screenshot tool built into a custom action. So if you click the run button, you get this capture window. And what you can do is you can drag. I'm going to drag, let's say I want to capture all of this. All right, so this black border is where we're going to capture. If I click capture, it'll now spawn the screenshot. So this is the screenshot, but not only that. So you can change the colors right over here, and then you can draw stuff. So you might want to highlight, okay, this is a session cookie. Oops. You can actually undo, so I'll do that. This is a session cookie that we're going to use. It highlights it. You might want to hide stuff, right? So maybe the host needs to be sort of blacked out. There you go. Host is gone now. You can draw lines. You can squiggle and everything. It's, draw rectangles to select stuff, right? So you might say, okay, I want to, highlight this section. And then you can either copy it to the clipboard or you can save it as a file. So again, not functionality that you necessarily need, but it's actually kind of super handy to be built into Burp now, effectively, right, by this custom action. So that's really cool, I think. Okay, moving on to one that I've actually written myself. And this is based on an extension that I developed, but never actually got around to releasing, and maybe I will release it someday. But this idea is, okay, so in this application, we have the ability to create new users. Let me actually show you how that works. So we create a new user. If we say test, add user, okay, user test is created successfully. But let's say I want to try and attack or fuzz the password field or this role field, okay? So if I do that, if I just try and put something in there, it's going to say username already exists. So when I'm doing my fuzzing, I go back to Burp. Let's request this. When I'm doing my fuzzing, because my first request created the user test, if I want to sort of, I don't know, put like a single quote in here, right, to test for SQL injection, if I run this, I'm going to get an error because the username check is done before anything else. Okay, so I want a way to modify a single parameter and run the request, but also change the username in some way that makes it unique. And this is what an extension I wrote like 10 years ago now, I think, did. It was called Randomizer. But effectively what it did was you would replace this value with a sort of token, and then you would configure a token in the extension to basically replace whatever this was with a random string that matched a regex string. And so I basically recreated the same kind of thing here called randomized replace. It's massively complicated, and this is why you should never do this in a custom action. But I think it just goes to show how cool and how powerful these custom actions are. So I've generated a regex string, which is literally A to Z uppercase, A to Z lowercase, 0 to 9. So any letters from that range between 6 and 10 characters. And I'm saying, hey, look for this tag, right? So open square bracket, username in all caps, close square bracket, and replace it with a randomly generated regular expression string that matches this. Okay. And so I have that here. So what I can do is I can start testing, right? And all I have to do is click randomize replace, and it will hopefully, yeah, there you go. So it ran it and replaced the username with this string. Okay. And then I can so maybe do, I don't know, that again, randomize replace. Oh, look, we got another string. What can I do? Maybe put a parentheses in there, randomize replace. So every time I click randomize replace, this username tag remains the same. Okay, so this request is going to remain the same in the request pane, but it's going to take the request and it's going to replace this tag with a random string that matches my regex. And, you know, yeah, you can configure this and change the regex if you want, change the tag or whatever you need. But yeah, I think, honestly, do you need this? No. Should you need this? I mean, arguably, it's an interesting way of doing it. I think my extension works a bit better, but the fact that you can actually do this as a Bambda now and a custom action is really cool. So yeah, this super useful for testing. Obviously, don't click send up here. This is the other thing. If you click send up here, it's not going to work. It's actually going to create, I believe, if I follow redirection, it's going to create a user called username, right? So that's why the extension is a little bit better, because you didn't need to click over here and you could just send it. But I think it goes to show just how powerful this can actually be. Okay, race conditions. So I believe this one was created by James Kettle. It was. So this is a really simple one. It will literally just try and run a number of requests 10 times in very quick succession, or basically at the same time, and it will log all the status codes. So in this case, I'm using the user creation again. We've got a username called race condition. So if we run this proper race condition, we get all 302s, which is expected. But if I go back, let's reload this page. We only got one race condition user, which means presumably there is no race condition in this application for the user creation, right? So basically, if there was a race condition, we might see two users of the same name called race condition, because we managed to bypass that initial check. So yeah, I think it's a really cool addition to Burp Suite, and hopefully there's going to be, you know, more people writing these custom actions in the future, submitting them to Portswigger so that they get placed in the extensibility helper and people can actually use them. But so far, I'm really enjoying writing a few of these and seeing what people come up with. On the Portswigger Discord server, you can go into the Bambdas channel, and there are always people posting ideas for custom actions or custom actions themselves. So go check that out. One thing I should note is that if you click this button here, it will automatically run this whenever you click send. So in this case, it doesn't even make sense to click it on this one. But basically, if you have any Bambda, and you can basically only have one enabled at a time, if any of them has this like automated, I believe, or auto run, that's it. So if anyone has this auto run on send enabled, when you click send, it will automatically run this, I believe, after the response gets received. So that's useful as well. But you can, again, only have one of these enabled. You cannot sort of string a few together. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel for more hacking content. Have you used custom actions? Let me know in the comments what you think of them so far, or share links to the ones you've written. Until next time, happy hacking!